All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, they say that a great businessman is able to execute deals where everybody's happy at the end of the day. And that takes us to Mr. David Griffin, the former general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who now suddenly has become the general manager of the New Orleans Pelicans. I've seen David Griffin on NBA TV. He does a very good job with his analysis. He seems to be a very outgoing personality type. And he also allegedly has a very close relationship with LeBron James's business associate, Rich Paul. So in my view, the writing's on the wall that David Griffin is going to act as a broker that will help all parties involved, that being not just the Pelicans and the Lakers, but also Clutch Sports and the NBA, execute this Anthony Davis trade, get Davis over to the Lakers to assist LeBron, get LeBron back into the playoffs and pump up the NBA ratings, while Adam Silver also hopes that KD leaves Golden State, goes to New York. Hopefully Kyrie Irving will sign with the Knicks as well. The Boston Celtics can try to build around Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Terry Rozier, and you'll have a multitude of teams all get better at the same damn time. Because as of right now, the Pelicans are bad with Anthony Davis. So if they can get some of those assets, who knows, maybe they can find a way to bump the Lakers up to the third pick in the draft. We know that they're not going to go to the extent of giving the Lakers the first pick in the draft because that would be too blatant. But just keep your eyes on this David Griffin, Rich Paul, LeBron James connection, this little triangle here.
All right, exactly. I got more to debate. Anthony Davis's future in New Orleans has been in doubt since before the trade deadline. Well, new executive VP of basketball operations David Griffin said yesterday that he's optimistic about AD's future with the Pelicans.
When David Griffin says that he's optimistic about Anthony Davis's future with the Pelicans, he knows that that's what he's supposed to say. He can't get on the podium and say, we're going to do our best to move Anthony, because that's taking away certain options. First, he has to make sure that he exhausts the option of possibly getting Anthony Davis to stay. But he already knows that Anthony Davis wants out. It's like a person whose marriage is over. It's just they have not approached the lawyers with drawing up the divorce papers yet. And yet whenever they speak with their friends or their family or their work associates, they're still trying to maintain this facade that their marriage is strong and never better. That's David Griffin's job. He has to say that we want Anthony Davis to stay and that I plan on making him stay. But behind the scenes, believe me, he would never have gotten the job unless he'd already made it clear to the owner of the Pelicans and to Adam Silver and to Rich Paul that he's going to find a way to make this trade happen.
I'm extremely optimistic relative to the opportunity that lies ahead of us in the form of Anthony Davis.
You're extremely optimistic that you're going to make the trade happen. He's going to have to find a third, maybe even a fourth team to sweeten this pot, but he's going to make the trade happen.
Fortunately, because of the presence of people like LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, and leadership in that locker room from a veteran presence like James Jones and Channing Frye.
David Griffin, are you aware that you're now the general manager of the New Orleans Pelicans? No one wants to hear about your connections with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Dante Jones, Kendrick Perkins. We have a very long, successful history together with Clutch Sports.
What are you really saying? What are you really saying? You list the entire roster of the Cleveland Cavaliers, then you talk about your successful history with Clutch Sports. I don't think that the fans of the Pelicans are concerned about your rapport with Clutch Sports. They want to know if you can keep Anthony Davis or if you're going to trade him to someone who's going to help the team as opposed to acting as a broker for the Lakers and Clutch Sports, i.e. LeBron James Incorporated.
Rich Paul and I have spoken about Anthony. And
I'm sure you guys have been speaking for the last 2 months.
I think we're both excited about what we could potentially build here.
When you say potentially build there, you're talking about the assets that you're going to get in exchange for Anthony. David Griffin also went on to say that you're either going to be all in with the Pelicans or you're going to be all out. So for him to act as if he's going to keep Anthony Davis is very disingenuous because we already know that at the very least, Anthony Davis is not all in.
The Pelicans get AD to cooperate.
I think they can get him to cooperate. That doesn't mean he stays in New Orleans. But I do think they can get him to cooperate because
if they were able to get him to cooperate, he would have been cooperating last season. When he was coming off of a playoff run in the 2018 playoffs, with Drew Holiday and Rajon Rondo and those guys, and they were able to win in the first round in a sweep over the Portland Trail Blazers. That should have shown him that if he stepped his game up another level, maybe they could advance to the Western Conference Finals. Maybe he could get another free agent to come play with him. He was not concerned with that because Rich Paul and LeBron James had already gotten into his head. So I'm not buying the Anthony Davis hype when it comes to him being a leader or someone who's able to, to galvanize the troops. Not buying it.
First of all, I really wish that David Griffin wasn't reading some damn speech. The man, he speaks very fluently, highly intellectual about the basketball, damn good executive, and I wish him nothing but the best. Good guy as well. But let's be clear about something here. He does have a long-standing relationship with Rich Paul in Clutch Sports. And the fact that they're going to work in tandem with one another, I think is going to help things move smoothly, because I think even Anthony Davis has to admit, even though him directly speaking on the matter, he may not have done much wrong, the manner in which things were handled wasn't well received, not just by the Pelicans, but by the NBA community. So,
of course, because basically what LeBron James and Rich Paul were trying to do was force the hand of the New Orleans Pelicans. This had never been done before, where a player was not just advocating for a team to trade for another player, but was trying to utilize machinations behind the scenes to force another team to give up their best asset, a small market team with a player who was widely considered anywhere from the 10th best to maybe even the 3rd best player in the NBA. You could not allow that precedent to get established, because now if you have a great player in a small market, i.e. Milwaukee, what happens when LeBron wants to poach Giannis? You just sit back and say, okay, just take him and take everybody else? You can't have that.
So you had a bunch of people, I'm telling you what I know, you had a bunch of people calling the Pelicans and imploring them not to be cooperative with Clutch Sports and the Lakers when the dealings were going on involving Anthony Davis. I think Griffin's presence changes all of that to the point where you could kind of manipulate the situation to a degree that it can help it work best for you to get him out of there like he wants to be out of there, but find yourself in a position to get more compensation. But I think...
And that's all it's about, Stephen A. Smith. Good job. David Griffin's job is to get a 3rd and 4th team involved in this deal, at the very least a 3rd team, so that when New Orleans gets back all their assets, they could say, we got rid of Anthony, but at least we brought back a major payload from the Lakers, as well as some draft picks from another team. That's all this is really about. Now, how sweet of a pot Danny Ainge is going to be able to offer the Pelicans, we'll see.
I think Anthony Davis and Clutch Sports will be willing to work with him more so than they will be
the real question
willing to work with
right.
others.
Right. I understand what you say, and that way means cooperation. But
yes.
If you're wondering, does this mean there's a chance Anthony Davis stays in New Orleans? No, there's no chance.
0.
And it's because of the Mickey Mouse operation. I don't mean the good kind of Mickey Mouse like we have here at Disney. I'm talking about...
There is no good Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse represents Lucifer, believe it or not.
Talking about the kind of operation that you own both teams in the town, the football team and the basketball team, so you use the football team's training staff to save a few bucks, and as a result, it seems, you lose more minutes to player injury than like anyone ever. And Anthony Davis, why should he stick around in a small market with that kind of nonsense going on? Okay, maybe if he was on the Spurs or a place like that, a really, really well-run organization, fine. But that has not been his experience. He is out. He's going to be a Laker a year from now, whether by hook or by crook.
And he's going to get everything that he deserves. Because if he runs to the Lakers a year from now, assuming that he does not get traded, which I highly, highly doubt that he's not going to get traded between now and sometime in the offseason, he's going to regret running to go play with LeBron James at 35, going on 36 years old. He's going to regret it.
And that's what I wanted to clarify, Stephen A. When you say they can get him to cooperate, you're not saying cooperate to stay. You're saying cooperate to optimize his exit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. That I think that's very plausible. I think when it's all said and done, Anthony.
Not just plausible, probable.
Anthony Davis isn't a bad guy, and he's not one to stick.
I don't think he's a bad guy either. I just think that he's easily misled. I think that he's easily confused. I don't think that he quite understands what it means to be a top player in the league. I also think that he's starstruck by LeBron James.
Anybody, in the Coles. I mean, he wants to make it work. He just don't want to be there. And Max, without passing judgment on which party is to blame, or whether or not New Orleans or the Pelicans are a franchise, New Orleans a market, or the Pelicans are a franchise you want to be with. I mean, I really truly believe this. More so in business than even in marriage. When it's over, It's over.
Agreed. Agreed, sir.
And it's clear it's over. Nobody wants to, I shouldn't say nobody, because the Pelicans do want to keep Anthony Davis, but he doesn't want to be there anymore. There's been bridges that have been burned. I don't think you're ever going to get everybody back on the same page. And the best now is to, as you said, if they can figure it out, Stephen A., optimize his exit. It works.
No, I disagree with that
not
point.
Staying.
This dude walking down the hall with a "That's All Folks" T-shirt on and a purse. Wow.
I mean, this is like she cheated on you once. Take her back. Expect the same thing, or swap the genders if that bothers you. You take them back. It's on you the second time around.
I disagree with.
Ding.
Agree with that point that he's gonna cooperate on the way out. Look, if I'm a player, why would I want the team that I'm going to give up more for me? I want to go to a better team, not a lesser team. If I'm Anthony Davis.
Well, I have news for you, Max Kellerman. Then, what are you talking about trading him to the Lakers for then? Because had Anthony Davis done his job on the Pelicans this season, they would have been a better team than the Lakers were.
Davis and the Pelicans are like, yeah, we'll deal you. Probably not to where he wants to be dealt. He's going to have to leave that team anyway to sign with the Lakers. They've already shown they won't trade him to the Lakers.
No. The last GM showed that he would not trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Once again, that is why they brought in this new GM. Because they're hoping that his relationship with Clutch Sports and Rich Paul will expedite an exit for Anthony Davis that will make everyone happy. That's why I stated what I stated at the beginning of the video. That what a great businessman is known for doing is executing deals that will make everyone happy.
On Anthony Davis, I'm saying, no, I'm not going to make this easy for you so I can gut the team I'm going to and be in a lesser situation.
I'll bet you Stephen A's right on that. I'll bet you he makes it work for both sides.
If I'm Anthony Davis, I'm letting everyone know I want to go to the Lakers.
Yeah, well, you're not Anthony Davis, and the fact is you're
You're not Anthony Davis, and at the end of the day, you're under contract. So you can sit your bitch ass down.
You're right. Let everybody know that he wants to go to the Lakers, but he's going to work with David Griffin more so than he was willing to work with Dell Demps.
And that's just good business. If you're Anthony Davis, you want to work with David Griffin because you would assume that if he has a good rapport, a good relationship with your agent, that your agent is accustomed to David Griffin operating, above board. He's going to do things that are honorable.
Bottom line, I want to applaud Griffin and the Pelicans organization for keeping Alvin Gentry, because what that meant.
Well, that's part of the reason why Anthony Davis probably wants out. Is that terrible ass coach Alvin Gentry, who's never done shit in the NBA as a head coach other than take Mike D'Antoni's leftovers to the Western Conference Finals back in 2010. Alvin Gentry is a great example of a head coach who's really just an assistant coach. He should not be the head coach of a team in the NBA.
That man was subjected to as a head coach in the NBA last year was so grotesquely unfair. Yeah. It was hard. I'm glad they're keeping Alvin Gentry, who can coach, by the way.
No question. Guys, one more topic I want to get to here.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things go with this David Griffin, Anthony Davis, Clutch Sports situation. So peace.